Welcome to episode 8 of March Malcontent. Our first match is going to be Falco against Kirby. Kirby Smash Brothers, in fact. For any new viewers, we do have two different Kirby amiibo. So Kirby Classic and Kirby Smash Brothers. This is Kirby Smash Brothers. Falco with an incredibly high recovery to start off. And now he's getting spiked by Kirby. He kept his jump. He's able to recover. Kirby held onto the ledge for a little too long. It was a little bit of a difficult situation, since if he were to try to fall off of the ledge, pretty sure he would have gotten hit immediately by Falco's recovery, and that's just unnecessary damage. But he probably could have gotten up onto the stage. Another spike, still not killing. Turns out Kirby has an amazing spike. Well, okay, so it's weird. If you have a high recovery, then it's really hard to kill people with it. And I guess the move isn't particularly amazing, but that's because Kirby has like 5 mid-air jumps, and it lasts a very long time, and all the hitboxes are a spike. So it's hard to kill people with, but it's very good at gimping people. So I guess it's a bad spike, but an amazing gimp, if that makes sense. Gimping being the term when someone's trying to recover and you hit them with a small attack that just barely stops them from getting back onto the stage. Falco didn't have his jump after that. He actually, for some reason, only got hit by the spike hitbox when Kirby was coming down. Normally, it's hard for Kirby to spike people with that, because unless he grabs the ledge to cancel out the hitbox, then he hits the ground and he creates a shockwave hitbox, and that normally hits the opponent as well. Wow, Falco is just getting rinsed this match, getting hit by all of Kirby's moves. Kirby seems to know exactly what to do and what not to do in every situation. Although he did actually get hit there, but he's only at 20%. Now it's 16. We do have the auto heal. But Falco doesn't seem to know how to respond. I suppose the stage choice doesn't help. We do have the top of the castle in the middle, kind of just being a large pylon in the middle of the stage. The amiibo don't seem particularly trained on that. And to be fair, that is very specific level geometry that I can only imagine... Well, actually, I don't think it's really in any other stages. Closest I can come up with is a couple of custom stages, but not everyone has the same custom stages, so you can't really count that. And no, none of these rule sets have any custom stages. Some of them are just a little bit too wild. Also, they seem to be disabled in the random stage select. So if we were to use those, I'd have to randomly select them each time myself. And of course, the normal stages have much better artwork and love and care put into them. Well, Kirby with barely a scratch on him is going to knock Falco out of the tournament. Alright, and for our second match, we're going to be having Zero Suit Samus against Stever. Each Steve is more Stever than the last. So there are two Steve amiibo. I imagine a lot of people may not know this. There's the Player 1, I think it's called Steve amiibo, which is just the generic Minecraft Steve. Which sounds insulting, but I really don't mean it that way. The Player 2 skin is Alex, which is a reskin they added to Minecraft at some point in the last 5 years, I think? Maybe 10 years? Actually, now that I think about it, there were very early Xbox versions of Minecraft that did have a lot of the version-specific skins on there. So Alex might be the name of one of the skins that was on that version. Zero Suit Samus finally getting another hit back in. Hole in the middle seems to be a little bit of a sticking point for her. Although she's figured out that you can stand below a platform and up smash. Very difficult to contend with, by no means unbeatable. And getting domed in the head with a pickaxe is going to end her first stock. Going for an up smash again, getting hit by the anvil. You can definitely tell which character's move has just a little bit extra range on it. Ironically, what would be most useful for Zero Suit Samus, I think, on this stage layout, is Flip Kick, and she only used it there to recover. Flip Kick, I believe, can actually travel through platforms. Yep, it just did right there. Okay, she's been using Flip Kick like 5 times in a row now. I can only assume she is listening to me. This is why in tournaments they will either give players like headsets or something so that they can't hear the commentators. because it's very hard to commentate and talk about the game and not mention advice for one participant or the other. Wow, Zero Suit Samus is now loving being in the stratosphere. Not able to stop Stever from recovering. Getting a... Oh, I think that was a footstool. Oh. It was not a killing footstool. Quickly got it into a side special. We do get a lot of lethal footstools in these amiibo fights. The amiibo's AI just seems to know exactly when they can go for the footstool. Meanwhile, for the human players, it can often be hard to know exactly when to use the input. Stever just sitting in shield. I'm pretty sure that move is punishable to some degree on shield. It's always rough because Zero Suit Samus is a very slippery character, very difficult to actually hit. She's great at, I'm gonna be honest, she's great at running away and then hitting you when you're trying to finally catch up to her. Whereas Steve is a character... Oh, the block cancel saved Zero Suit Samus' life, I'm pretty sure. Stever is a character who's pretty good at bunkering up. Actually, he's... Because he can build blocks, he can actually build a bunker. And kind of making a teeny, impregnable fortress very difficult to get through. But since Zero Suit Samus is just not about that... Also, the amiibo don't really know the dominant Steve methodologies. Zero Suit Samus is getting a lot of stray hits in here, suddenly flipping the script from the first half of the match. Avoiding getting hit by the anvil. To be fair, that was the world's most obvious anvil. Whenever Steve's above you, you can pretty much bet he's going to be using it. It's very riskless, especially since Steve can actually jump off of his own anvil, which can actually give him an additional jump. Zero Suit Samus using the world's most unnecessary wall jump to grab the ledge there. Getting high enough in the knockback that she's actually getting hit pretty close to the side of the screen there. This is a large stage in that the stage is large. However, the blast zones aren't incredibly large, especially on that right side there. Zero Suit Samus needs to not get hit by another up smash, otherwise she will probably die. Starts a ladder combo. Brings me back to the days of Smash 4. Hanging out by the side of the screen, a very risky prospect. Stever trying to... Well, I think he went for the kill there. Does he have golden weapons? It looks like it. The golden weapons swing faster. If you can see there, the golden weapons swing faster, but they do break pretty quickly. So you normally don't bother with them unless you accidentally get them. Just because it's so hard to manipulate which material your weapons get made out of. Alright, up next we've got Pikachu against Pac-Man. Two aggressively yellow characters. Very difficult to find a skin where they're not. It looks like they're going to be on Bridge of Eldin for this one. A wide flat stage. Hazards are off, so we're not going to have to worry about the middle getting blown out. Alright, both characters just orbiting around each other there. Both clearly with the intention to hit, but unable to find a hit that lands. Pac-Man air dodging right into that Thunder Jolt. I suppose on a stage like this, Thunder Jolt will just be traveling until the blast zone or it despawns. And I believe it should despawn if it goes enough into the blast zone. But also, since characters can't exist that far, the game might just let it continue on its natural lifespan anyway. I don't think there's any more projectiles that have infinite range in the game. And even then, back when there were very few projectiles that had infinite range, I believe there was still an outer limit cut off. Otherwise, you could just shoot 300 projectiles into the blast zone and start to lag the game down. Pac-Man was doing some sort of cool little scoot there on the ground, but it left him not able to use his shield, so he just got hit by a Thunder Jolt for it. Kind of one of the reasons you don't see dash dancing in Smash Ultimate In previous games, it was a lot more useful, especially depending on the game. But in Smash Brothers, running in circles in the same place... Well, in Smash Ultimate, running around in circles in the same place doesn't provide much of any strategic benefit. So it's just something that keeps you occupied. Forward air near the side of the screen is finally going to be our first kill. Pac-Man pulls out a key. Let's see if he remembers to throw it. That is something the amiibos seem to struggle with. They will charge up a projectile and then forget they have it. The side special out of hit stun there. I can't believe that worked. Well, I guess I have to believe. It just happened in front of me, but... Forward smash near the ledge is going to take Pikachu's first stock. Pac-Man only 30% behind. Pikachu's doing a great job of sniping out all of his aerials from the air, though. Pikachu is a character with a lot of combos and a lot of multi-hitting combos. A stage like this is actually pretty ideal for Pikachu, because I wouldn't be surprised if there's some sort of back air chain shenanigans you can do. Back throw near the ledge, that's very difficult to survive. It may not have that much knockback, but because of the little somersaults, you don't have much space before you hit the blast zone. Pac-Man gets greedy trying to charge there, gets hit by Pikachu preemptively. And Pikachu not getting hit by the obvious fire hydrant. Pac-Man seems to be trying to up smash his fire hydrant, but forgetting that the fire hydrant shoots out water, which keeps pushing him away. That was apparently just enough charge to kill. Both characters just getting a whole bunch of stray hits into each other, leaving the opponent really close, so they seem to be trading all of these low knockback aerials. Pac-Man's got Pikachu in the corner. Jabs shouldn't be killing, but anything else, they switch positions. Pac-Man threw Pikachu. He probably could have won the game if he'd gone for a back throw instead. Up smash, just enough to kill Pikachu. That means that Pikachu is not going to be in the tournament this year, but Pac-Man just might. Alright, and our next match is going to be Toon Link against Richter. Looks like they're going to be on Skyloft for this one. Let's hope that nobody accidentally kills themselves by failing to rise up through the bottom platform there. It is certainly solid from the top, however, you can come up through it. There are certain platforms like that in the game. It is convenient because it means you can't accidentally duck on the platform, fall through it, and die. Great down air read from Richter there. Got Toon Link off stage. Toon Link air dodges through the forward air, but he sends Richter back on stage. He would have been in a much stronger position if he could have somehow sent Richter backwards. Snipes him before he's able to grab the ledge. He didn't have too much room to work with. The blast zone was pretty close to him there. It's not as aggressively close as certain other stages, but just one of the trends of having a larger stage usually means that the blast zone is going to be a little bit closer to the edges of the actual platform. And Richter did not grab the ledge there. He's 2 stocks down. This is going to, well, probably going to be an incredibly quick match, guys. Down smash. Toon Link seems to have known to have shielded it. You can actually see there that Toon Link was kind of hiding behind the smoke of his bombs. It's something that not many characters get to do, since most visual effects are quick, and some of them, I think, might even hide behind characters. There is even an item in the game called the Smoke Ball, which the whole point of it is to obscure your character and or what they're doing. But most people have found that it's really hard to use because it also means you can't see what your character is doing. And since there's no other debuff with it, getting the Smoke Ball stuck to you just makes it less visually clear what your character is doing, if that makes sense. Certain characters, I'm sure with like super armor, could probably take advantage of it more, since you do need to play around super armor different than, for example, other moves. But in general, it will show up every now and then, but it isn't... It's probably not going to decide a match unless it's a last-hit situation. Toon, like, down airing into his own bomb, not something I can recommend. Do not try at home. I suppose if you have a bomb at home, then I have many questions for you, and I guess I'm legally obligated to report you to something. I guess I just start with the police? I don't know. Perhaps a bomb squad? I don't know the legal precedent for that. Alright, now we've got Robin against Ken. Looks like we're going to be on Reset Bomb Forest. This stage does have 2 phases to it, but because we have the stage hazards off option enabled, we're only going to be seeing this first stage. Robin recovers, Ken also recovers. They both manage to make it back to the stage. Ken tries to get a combo off, but you just really don't get down air into Hadouken, even though you can instantly cancel it. Alright, they keep hitting each other with their recoveries, but they both seem to have made it back on stage. Robin going for an up air instead of, I don't know, like a forward air, because that's where Ken was. I suppose you could always get lucky and hit a late hit. Robin needs to watch out. The Elwind Tome is currently out of use. Up air again. I still think a forward air would kill. Although Robin is hitting multiple up airs in a row, just juggling Ken into the blast zone. Ken slipped past the ledge there. Oh, and he gets spiked. Ken not really exerting any pressure while Robin was charging up her Thoron Tome. Well, I know Thoron is one of the spells. I think it actually has a different terminology for each spell that gets used. In the Fire Emblem series in general, actually, the different spells, they're basically treated like weapons, where they have different strength, and in some games, durability as well. But there are different... It's basically like getting a weapon upgrade, but instead it's your spell is a more damaging spell. So for Smash Brothers, Robin can actually charge up as if it was a projectile, but it gets drastically different properties depending on the level of charge, which I know is actually more common in a lot of characters these days. Not that every character with a charged projectile has that. In fact, for most charged projectiles, it's usually pretty subtle, the differences that they have when... Usually it's actually that they're not fully charged or fully charged. Seems to be that Robin is the character where Sakurai finally decided to go full throttle and make incredibly different versions depending on charge level, instead of just kind of different. Robin recovering, only has one part of the Elwind Tome left. Ken actually caught the book. Let's see if he does anything with it. He juggles it, which is a fun thing to do, but it's not always a practical thing to do. So it's a little bit more of a show-off tech, if anything. It also does kind of depend on how fast your character falls and jumps for what the timing for it is. Ken really just needs to get a kill here. I mean, technically he needs to get a kill and then another kill and then another kill. But Robin at this percentage will start having that rage build up, and Robin being an incredibly slow character definitely has hard-hitting hitboxes. That's the usual trade-off in Smash Brothers as a whole, but also in Smash Ultimate. Ken off stage, air dodges to recover, and he recovers again. Actually hits Robin with the Shoryuken through the ledge. That is kind of a quirk of the move. Just how it snaps the ledge and at what timing. It very often will hit people in the ankles, and you're usually not complaining if you're recovering with it, because, well, it's just extra damage. Forward throw, that doesn't seem to be a kill throw. Ken still just needs to find some sort of kill move, and he doesn't get it. Instead, he loses all 3 stocks without taking a single off of Robin. Alright, now we've got Lucario against Diddy Kong. I would expect this to be a little bit of a rougher match for Diddy Kong, simply because Diddy Kong does have moves that kill, and he does have kill confirms, but I'm pretty sure the amiibo doesn't really know any of those. And that's kind of, well, how Diddy Kong usually gets his kills. He can just get a random, say, forward smash, but you're usually going to see him picking up a banana, throwing it at someone, and confirming that into a smash attack. He's got a couple of unique things out of neutral air. I don't quite know all the details on that. And a random forward smash, almost killing Lucario. Does need to watch out, though, because Lucario is is probably the character to the greatest extent who gets stronger when damaged. He not only benefits from Rage, he also benefits from Aura, which is a Lucario-specific mechanic, where basically he gets stronger when he's losing. Also when he's taking damage. So if... Alright, the 4th up smash will kill. So if Lucario's at a high percent, his attacks definitely become stronger. And also if he has fewer stocks than whoever's winning the game. In a 1v1, that basically means if he's a stock behind, he gets a little bit stronger. But in a free-for-all match, I believe it's calculated based off of the current calculated winner. It gets a little bit more difficult to figure out in those situations. I mean, already there's formulas to determine how much aura Lucario gets. And even then, I couldn't tell you specifics other than, for example, I don't know if 50 aura is a lot of aura, or if it's just a little bit aura, because I don't know the conversion of aura to strength. I suppose it does also mean that it's very hard to lab out the actual percentage thresholds of most of Lucario's attacks, simply because if he has damage, or, again, if he's predicted to be losing by the game, that will affect the percentage of the attacks, even if only slightly. So while it may look like Lucario is losing, and he kind of is right now, especially with that. Now he's 2 stocks behind. I guess that gives him an even greater comeback or a bonus. But he needs to start hitting Diddy Kong for that to actually be doing anything for him. Seems to have finally got back his footing in the corner of the stage, but I don't know if it's going to be enough to make back the match. Especially since Diddy Kong is just hitting everything. Well, everything, I guess. He is hitting Lucario, but he's hitting all sorts of moves on him, not just spamming out, for example, one good forward aerial. Makes it a lot harder to adapt, which isn't really something the amiibo can do. Another up smash. I think another 5 up smashes and Lucario might be dying. At least at the current rate things are going. Diddy Kong hitting Lucario with the last hitboxes of all of these dash attacks. The move does normally kind of combo into itself, but Lucario seems to be almost out of reach, but not quite, so he's still getting hit by the combo conversion hitbox. Really not doing him any favors. And a random forward smash is going to finish off the game. Guess we're not going to be seeing Lucario this year. Alright, now we've got Incineroar against Kirby. Kirby Classic, to be specific. Gonna be on the New Donk City stage. Actually new to Smash Ultimate ever since Mario Odyssey, which feels like ages ago at this point. Which I suppose is probably because it is ages ago. We're now on the Switch 2. And Mario Odyssey had just come out. Obviously, Mario Odyssey had just come out when Smash Ultimate had released. Pretty much guaranteed that the Smash Brothers production staff got an advanced copy of the game so that they could know what to build the stage around. Half the decisions in Smash Ultimate seem to be based off of what Nintendo thinks would be good advertising, and then the other half seem to be made by Masahiro Sakurai himself. I'd imagine he's not normally going to be too opposed to, for example, incorporate a new game into the next Smash Brothers game. But you can still see just some of those decisions that are made based off of, oh, that makes life a little bit easier for one of the advertising executives. Kirby's put off stage, and he just floats above Incineroar's head. Incineroar's done a pretty good job, first of all, landing a whole bunch of forward airs this game. Not getting spiked by Kirby. He doesn't get the... I want to call it a command input, but it's just a timing input on the B button to get the strong hit of a lowland whip. Kirby tries to get some sort of... So I don't know what to call it, but Kirby has a lot of moves that do just enough knockback that he can probably sneak out a forward smash, sometimes a down smash. Seems to be a lot of... It seems to be integral to the Kirby gameplay. When he's not, you know, obsessed with copying the opponent's copy ability and trying to use it to style on them. You see some of those players from time to time. Kirby just falling into all of Incineroar's aerials. Gets a down air, one jab, and gets neutral air. He probably should have gone for, I don't know, the rapid jab? Stage transition, kind of saving Kirby's life there. And, well, okay, so not for long. Gets hit by a flying knee. Down air to up smash, don't usually see that one. Looks like we're in a last stock situation. Incineroar is just chasing Kirby across the stage. Kirby refusing to engage when not on his own turn. However, he did run out of stage to do that with. Incineroar gets the tech on the platform, able to shield that up air in time. Back hit of the get-up attack getting Kirby there. You have to watch out for that sometimes. Get-up attacks are angled to hit you, usually up and away from the ledge, because that only makes sense to where that would be where it hits you. However, in very rare circumstances, you can be actually behind the opponent, get clipped by the hitbox, and sent into the stage. And since you're not expecting it, you're probably not going to get the stage tech. And then you get sent outwards, because you bounce off the stage, and possibly downwards to your death. And for the last match of this episode, we're going to be having Dark Samus against Luigi. Going to be on Pichter chat for this one. Luigi starting off with a combo. Actually, a pretty good combo by the amiibo standards. Luigi gets sent off stage. That was maybe a little too close to be using the green missile. He did manage to not die, so I shouldn't be complaining too much. Falling into the second up smash, always a little embarrassing. It is unfortunate that there really isn't a way to teach the Luigi amiibo to try to hit people with his taunt when they're hanging from the ledge. So if anybody doesn't know, Luigi's down taunt is a little shoe kick. And ever since Melee, I believe, possibly even Smash 64, I don't have too much detail on the taunts in that game. Luigi has had a special taunt that actually has a hitbox on it, which does make sense when you think about it. Any move inputted in the game is effectively an animation a character plays, and attacks will have hitboxes stuck to them. It's not too big of a breach in logic to consider that maybe a taunt, which is an animation without a hitbox, maybe have a hitbox. Either way, while it wouldn't be effective on this stage, I don't think, just because of how sharply the edge is angled right there, which has actually caused problems in previous Smash games for various reasons. But Luigi's down taunt does have a hitbox, and if you're airborne, it spikes you. If you're on the ground, it will like pop you up a little bit, and sometimes Luigi can try to hit something after it. Not really guaranteed, but it can be done. But when you're hanging on the ledge, you count as being airborne, which does make sense. since you don't really have your feet on the ground, it would probably break a lot more things if you could, for example, be put to sleep while you're hanging on the ledge. I suppose Hero might be able to do it if he lands his snooze spell, the only thing that puts you to sleep in midair. But that would be really hard to actually land, though. But either way, if you're hanging on the ledge and you get hit by that move, it has enough base knockback that it usually just kills you. Straight up. So that's why I'd like the amiibo to be able to use it. However, the only possible way we could do that currently would be to teach the Luigi amiibo to taunt profusely. Which, well, Luigi's taunt does have a hitbox. It's not a very strong hitbox, it's not a combo hitbox. And it comes out very delayed because, well, taunt animations don't have to be quick and snappy. They're meant to look impressive, so they actually take longer than most other moves. Kind of why they're a taunt when you think about it. So we're probably not going to get that happening ever, unless they specifically program it into the next Smash Bros. Game. And that's if we're getting a new Smash Bros. Game at any point. Sakurai always makes every Smash game as if it's going to be the last one ever. Which is good, because first of all, it means he puts his all into all of them. And then secondly, just because of how much work went into Smash Ultimate, and how much is involved in it, they might just consider for the next game just adding a couple characters and stages to this one. Make the Switch 2 version that they seem to be super keen on. I could quite honestly see that happening. Especially since even if they don't do that, they always use the previous Smash Bros. Game as a base anyway. Which just saves on programming time, to be honest. You don't need to reinvent the wheel every time. And then since every Smash Bros. Game has been on a different console, it's actually been interesting to see what does and does not carry through. Because just because you're using old assets, especially early in development when, for example, new character models won't be finalized, and there is so much in this game, I just find it interesting to see what does and does not carry over and in what capacity. Luigi does grab the ledge there. He was facing the wrong way. Some recoveries you can't actually grab the ledge if you're not looking at the ledge. It's the importance of B-reversing. It's usually a lot more prominent in, well, any recovery that sends you moving sideways, simply because if you're not looking at the ledge, you will be de facto moving away from it, which makes it really hard to grab the ledge. Dark Samus gets the grab and the charge shot on Luigi. Now, Dark Samus is a character who gets a lot of flack for being a lot like Samus, but having very small, minute differences. And in general, people seem to have decided that Dark Samus's very slight differences aren't worth it. It is kind of a symptom to treating anything in a competitive manner. Oh, Dark Samus sent off stage, has the double jump, able to make it back. Just barely outspacing that grab. Luigi finally gets his feet on the ground, and he grabs too early again. Dark Samus also has a tether grab, and I think it actually reaches just a hair's breadth longer than Luigi's tether grab. Up smash, not enough to kill on this stage. There's a high ceiling there. Forwarder shouldn't be killing either. Luigi sent into the corner of the blast zone, just surviving. Able to make it back to the ledge. Does back throw kill? Not from center stage. But the forward hit of up air apparently is going to kill. That's not how I expected this match to end. That's all we've got for this episode. Hope you've enjoyed. We're getting ever so closer to finally finishing the preseason. When the month of April is going to begin, we will have the tournament. More details to follow, but until then, bye.